The best way to get a sense for using some of these project valuation techniques is to try actually doing one. So we put together a break-even analysis exercise for you. And along with the link to this video, you should have access to a PDF that has an exercise that uses a new minivan launch as a case study. And just a caveat before we start, the scenario and the data that we used for the exercise and for this video are just for example purposes. And we actually got the data from running a hypothetical scenario through the StratSim management simulation. So it's not from real world data. And even in StratSim, if you were to run the same scenario through StratSim again, you'd come up with different data because the simulation is dynamic and it changes for each competition that's run. Here's the business scenario for you to calculate the break-even point. This is from the PDF. And you can read through the details as you look at that PDF, but a high-level overview of what's going on here is that you're considering developing and launching a new minivan. And your development team and your marketing team have both given you some very relevant data on what it will cost to develop and then sell this new minivan. So you've got your team's estimate, as you can see in the details here, of the base cost, the development cost, and how much they'd actually like to spend on advertising on this project once you launch it, and also what a suggested price is for the minivan. So what you do in the exercise is you'll go ahead and actually figure out the break-even units and sales for this project. And you can see the formulas that we went over in the other video over on the right-hand side of the screen. And you'll see those in the PDF as well. And in the PDF, we've given you a blank form that you can fill in that looks like what I'm showing you here. So if you'd like to go through the example, the minivan example, just pause the video and work through it. And when you're ready, restart the video and we'll quickly walk through the solution. Also, I should mention, the solution is actually in the PDF, but we'll trust you to work through it and not cheat by looking at it. Okay, be right back. Okay, we're back. Let's go ahead and go over a solution to the case study. And hopefully you got similar answers without cheating and got some good practice with the technique. And you can read through the numbers and the solution on this slide or in the PDF, but just a couple of things to point out. Just so we don't have too many zeros on the fixed cost numbers, what we did is we kept them in millions as was laid out in the PDF in this scenario. So just keep that in mind as you look at all the fixed cost numbers. Also, there are three fixed costs: development cost, retooling, and marketing. And that's because they don't change, at least for some range of production. And in the scenario, it said that's for the first 100,000 units. And don't forget, too, that MSRP is not what you, as the OEM, original equipment manufacturer, the company, actually get. What you get is the MSRP minus the dealer discount, because that's what the dealer gets to keep after they sell a minivan. So your actual revenue that you get at your company is lower than the MSRP, even if it does actually sell at MSRP. Okay, and hopefully from there the math and the logic made sense to you, and you wound up, as you can see on the slide, with 398,000 units to that break-even point and about $10 billion of sales before you break even. But the real question and the point of the exercise is to help you make a decision about whether or not you're going to actually do this project. So what do you think are some of the considerations? What's good or not good about what you're seeing? That's what an analyst and definitely the capital committee will need to consider, and that's the reason you're doing the analysis beyond the actual joy of going through the math. So what do you think? Is this a go or a no-go on the minivan idea? Well, here are a few considerations that we've come up with as we thought about the scenario. See what you think and see if there are others that you came up with. So the first thing is that you've got to sell about 400,000 units just to break even, but the entire market is only 500,000 units. So now one of the things we need to think about is whether that's for just a year or forever. But either way, you've got to capture 80% of the market, and currently we've only got 14% of the market in general. So that right there is a stretch for your company. And for break-even sales, the actual dollar figure, beyond just units, we'd have to get almost half the amount of our current 24 billion in sales as revenue from this new product. That also seems like a big stretch, especially in a new market. And what about retooling? If we need 400,000 units just to break even, that means we'll need to add even more retooling, because that 160 million that we put into the calculation was only for the first 100,000 units. So once we factor in the additional 300 that we would need to make to break even, the point would be even higher at which we break even. So when it's all said and done, an analyst and the capital committee probably will not give the green light to this project. Now, maybe there are other considerations that still make this a valuable project to consider, but it looks like a no-go. In that regard, as a next step, though, an analyst would probably go a few steps further and also consider the timing of when the revenues and expenses hit, and maybe some other factors as well. So we'll take a look at timing in the next technique, in the next video, net present value, or NPV. All right, thanks for watching.